In the heart of Wolverhampton, a footballing legacy once glittered like the gold of their kits. Wolverhampton Wanderers, born 1877 as founding members of the Football League, have ridden the roller coaster of English football for almost a century and a half. Their triumphs have echoed far and wide, league titles, domestic cups, and a fervent fan base that painted Molyneux with passion. Yet time has woven a different tale. The club, once adorned with glory, now finds itself in the throes of desperate battle. Struggling to avoid relegation from the Premier League, Wolves struggle under the weight of adversity, fighting valiantly to stay afloat. What appeared to be significant steps forward just a few years ago have been reversed by mismanagement and inconsistency. Changes in leadership, fleeting victories, and the echoes of past glories haunt their efforts. The roar of Molyneux, once thunderous, now trembles with anticipation and anxiety. Each match becomes a battleground, every point a lifeline. Yet amidst the struggle, the spirit of Wolverhampton Wanderers endures, as they cling to the hope of redemption, praying for a resurgence that will rekindle the fire of their glorious past. Behold the arrival of the Total FIFA ownership group and their beloved manager Virgil de Kruger, luminaries in the realm of football resurrection. With a knack for breathing life into clubs marred by adversity, they've cast their discerning gaze upon Wolverhampton. Within the halls of hallowed Molyneux, they've identified a club brimming with untapped potential, armed with all the necessary resources for triumph, even among the footballing titans. The only hurdle? Wolverhampton's own self-imposed barriers, obstacles that, once overcome, could pave the way for unparalleled success. Will Virgil de Kruger and Total FIFA be able to save Wolverhampton from their constant battle for relegation survival and help this storied club take the next step forward? Find out next on Wolverhampton Wanderers, Rise of the Wolves. If you've seen our videos in previous editions of FIFA, you know the drill by now. The Total FIFA ownership group identifies a club that should be doing better, buys them, and installs Virgil de Kruger as the manager, and then we clean house. And this year we've acquired Wolverhampton Wanderers, who, since returning to the Premier League a few years ago and finding some immediate success, finishing as high as 7th in the table, have found themselves in an annual battle just to survive relegation, which is exactly the problem we've been brought in to solve. Now, we do full-scale rebuilds around youth, not youth academy players, though we will incorporate them as we grow, but real, young players who have the ability to get better. And of course, we play on Ultimate difficulty, but modified at Ultimate difficulty with our custom Ultimate sliders. If you haven't checked the video out, I encourage you to do so. The link is down in the description of this video. So here are the parameters for our club, for our franchise, for our rebuild. The cutoff is 80 potential and 22 years old, meaning any player on the current roster that is older than 22 or doesn't have a potential of at least 80 has to be made available on the transfer market. And if we receive an offer for that player, we have to let them go. Any players under 22 who aren't taken by another club may remain on the roster, but any players over 22 who aren't pursued by another club via transfer will not play for this team, no matter how good they are. We're then going to take all the money we get from these transfer fees, and with a club like Wolverhampton, that's going to be a fair amount because they do have talent on this roster. It has just wildly underachieved. So we're going to take all that money and we are going to scour the globe for young talent. And every player we acquire is going to fit that same mold. We are only allowed to acquire players who are 22 years old or younger and have a potential of at least 80. No other player is even considered. So there's a lot of players that fit this criteria. Who are the lucky few that are going to be headed to Wolverhampton? We're going to break them down by category here. First is the holdovers. There are 6 players on the Wolves roster right now who fit this criteria, and we have to keep all 6, and I'm glad we do. We've got a couple of key core pieces that are going to be significant contributors on this team. We'll see about the future, but João Gomez is going to be the defensive midfielder, and he's going to play more often than not. Fabio Silva is a striker who has not lived up to his potential in real life. We're going to see if we can get him developed in this career, or if we're going to bring in more talent to push him or perhaps overtake him. Ryan Ait-Nouri out on the wing as a wing back, as a left back. He's going to play. He's going to be in the rotation, so he will contribute. And then Hugo Bueno is going to get a chance to show what he can do. We've got Tommy Doyle on loan from Manchester City. He's at least going to contribute this season. And then we've got Enzo Gonzalez, who's a long-term project. Every one of these guys has potential over 80, or else we would not be keeping them. But none of them are necessarily budding stars. You can see João Gomez with the highest potential of 84 there. So these are guys who can contribute, and some of them can contribute right away, but we need to do better, and we need to build more of a core around them. Next up is the young guys. These are some projects that we're going to build, and we're going to announce these players in reverse order of how they're going to contribute this year. So we're starting with the young guys. Serge Ngoma from New York Red Bulls, he's 17. Lennon Miller from Motherwell, he's only 16. And Archie Gray from Leeds, he's only 17. All of these guys have a chance to be actually some star players. Lennon Miller, 85 overall. Archie Gray, 85 overall. So these are some guys who could one day down the road be some key pieces, but they are far, far away from contributing. We'll use them in some cup games. We'll use them as injury replacements, get them some minutes here and there where we can, but they're not going to be key pieces. This is just depth that you have to have when you're competing on 4 fronts. Next up, we've got the meat of the roster. These are the core players that are going to be in the rotation. They're going to play a lot, not necessarily stars, but every good team has plenty of guys that fit into this mold, and we're going to go out and acquire a whole bunch of them. Starting with Rafael Onyedika from Club Brugge. He's 22. He's a defensive midfielder who can also play in a wing-back or a full-back position. I love that versatility, and he's got some potential 85, so that's a key piece as we get better. Josh Doig from Hellas Verona, he's 21. He costs a fair amount of money at $12 million, but he's a wing-back, he's a fullback, he has some speed, he's got some stamina, he can play on either side, so that's a very important piece in the rotation. From New York City Football, we've got Talles Magno, 21 years old, speedster out on the wing. We're going to need some offense. He's not necessarily going to be the center of the offense, but he's going to be a key guy out on that wing trying to spread out the defense. Speaking of defense, we cannot survive without not just good defenders, but depth at defense. In FIFA, in FC 24, stamina is king. Stamina has always been king. These guys run out of stamina so fast, especially if you play high up, and they've got to run back a ton and cover a lot of ground. So we need as many defenders as we can possibly get, and I've got 3 here who are all competent, solid defenders. Starting with Mies Hilgers from FC 20. He's 22 years old, coming in at just under 6 million euros, and he's not going to be a star, but he can contribute right away. He's going to get his fair share of playing time. Eric Martel coming from FC Köln. He's 21 years old. He's a little bit more talented, just a step up. But he's, again, not a big star. This is just key pieces that we're going to rotate all these guys in. Rotating in with them, Maxime Esteve from Montpellier. He's 21 as well, a little over 9 million euros. Again, not a star, but all these guys in that low 70s to mid 70s current rating and that low 80s potential. These are guys we are going to need moving forward. We hope to get them developed. We hope to get better players, but for now, this is competent defending. And they are going to be be sitting in front of the goal, where we will have Lucas Chevalier from Lille. He's 21 years old, and we did spend on getting a competent goalkeeper. You cannot survive without a good goalkeeper, and he's got 84 potential, so he's got, he's maybe not a star down the road, but he's already a 78, and that is immediate competence between the pipes. That is worth paying for. Defense is hard enough in this game. We need somebody who can stop some shots, and Lucas Chevalier can come in and be a competent Premier League goalkeeper right away. We will see if he's the goalkeeper of the future with that 84 potential. We may aim higher than that, but we will absolutely take a 78 in between the pipes for right now. Now here's where it starts to get really interesting. There were two players who I wanted to build this career around, and they're not necessarily the most talented players, the highest end players, the future stars, but they have really important key factors that this club and this career are going to need in order to have success. The first is Maurits Kjærgaard, who's 20 years old. He plays for RB Salzburg, and I absolutely love this guy because of his versatility. He can play almost anywhere on the pitch. He's young, he's going to get better. He's a 72 present, 82 overall potential, which is not high enough to be a star, but he is going to fill in the gaps on this team wherever they see fit. Our next key player is equally as versatile, and we're going to offer him exactly what he's not getting in his present role. Sergio Gomez is still just 22. It feels like he's been around forever, and he's had success with Manchester City. He's coming off a treble win, but he's not getting to play that much, and when he does play, they're using him as a fullback, and that is not where Sergio Gomez wants to play. Sergio Gomez wants to make the Spanish national team, and he is an attacking midfielder. That is where he wants to play. That's where he plays for the Spanish under-21 team, and he needs an opportunity to show that he can do that at the highest level, and that is what Wolverhampton and the Total FIFA Career Mode group are prepared to offer him. Sergio Gomez is going to play. He's going to play every game, and he's going to play in an attacking role so he can show off what his offensive game can do, and that is not an opportunity he is ever going to get to Manchester City. And the ability to offer things that other clubs can't offer is exactly how we get star players to build our future around that may otherwise not have had interest in Wolverhampton. And that's the case with these last three players. These are guys who you may not think would be willing to come to Wolverhampton, but the Total FIFA ownership group and Virgil de Kruger are going to offer these players opportunities that they would not have elsewhere. Starting off with Emile Smith-Rowe, who is still just 22, another player who feels like he's been around forever and was at one point playing and seeing significant minutes for Arsenal, but now seems to have been lost in the shuffle. He is not a part of their core rotation. He is getting pushed out to the side. He's not even dressing every game, and Wolverhampton is prepared to build their offense around him. Emile Smith-Rowe is going to be the main attacking midfielder, and he is going to get a chance to show what he can do. He's going to be a critical part of this team, and he is going to get the opportunity to play and show that he should be a regular in the Premier League. It cost us $24 million to get him out of Arsenal, and it's going to be worth every single penny. Next up, we need somebody to lead this offense. We are not convinced that Fabio Silva is going to be the striker of the future. He's going to get opportunities, but we need to go out and get somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net, and that's exactly what we've done with 20-year-old Adam Hložek from Bayer Leverkusen. Now, Adam Hložek is a name that a lot of the biggest clubs in the Premier League have had on their radar for a number of years, but he's still at least a year away from being ready to contribute at those higher, upper echelon levels of the Premier League. That's what Wolverhampton can offer him, the opportunity to play right away. Hložek, if he went to Arsenal or to Chelsea, would be in a rotation among other players. In Wolverhampton, Adam Hložek is going to start every game at the tip of the spear. He is going to be the main goal scorer and the key part of this offense, and he could be for a long time. With an overall potential of 85, we have a star in the makings that could be a key cog of this team moving forward. $33 million in change, and it's going to be a big investment, but it's one that we will need to pay off, and without paying the money and offering him the playing time right away, he would never be coming to Wolverhampton. That's the perfect storm that gets him in the door. Last but not least, we need one more stud defensive reinforcement, and that is going to come in the form of Antonio Silva from Benfica, and we are going to shell out over 30 million euros to get it done, to bring the 21-year-old defender to Wolverhampton. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he's got a ton of stamina, he should play every game, which is why every big club in the Premier League wants him. We are going to give him the opportunity to be a star right now, this year. That and the Portuguese connection and the history of Portuguese players at Wolves was enough to get the deal done, and Antonio Silva is in the door and at the Molineux to run this defensive back line. It's a diverse group of players from clubs all over the world. They're all young, they're all talented, they've all got room to grow, and they are all hungry for the opportunity, and that is exactly what Virgil de Kruger and the Wolves are prepared to offer them. That's the sales pitch that got him in the door. Now we've got to make it work. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the roster. Get down in that comment section below. Let me know who you're excited to see, who else I should have gone after, who did I miss, who should I be targeting for the future when we do have more money. I would love to get your input. Also, I'd love to get some feedback on formations, tactics. Give me anything you want to see in this career. We would love to incorporate it in these videos. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button for me and make sure you're following us on Twitter at Pitchside Pub. In our next video, we're going to get this career started, get some game action. We can't wait. Thanks as always for joining us here on Total FIFA Career Mode at the Pitchside Pub.